The man who waits beneath broken street signs. Every city has corners that feel wrong. Places where the light never seems to reach, even in broad daylight. For us, it's the intersections where the old, bent street signs lean over cracked pavement, signs that once guided traffic but now hang crooked, their paint chipped, names of roads barely readable through the rust. Most people walk faster when they pass those corners. Some cross the street entirely. And the smart ones don't look up at the signs after dark, because that's when he waits. The man isn't easy to describe, not because he's unclear, but because everything about him feels too sharp to put into words. He's always standing directly under the broken sign, hands hanging at his sides, his head tilted back as though he's studying the corroded metal above him. At first glance, you might mistake him for another insomniac loitering under a flickering streetlight, but if you look long enough, you'll notice he isn't standing still, he's swaying, slightly, as though the air is pulling at him, or maybe like something is tugging invisible strings. And then there's his face. It isn't hidden. You wish it were. His skin has the stretched, waxy pallor of someone who has been drained of blood, but his eyes are the worst. They are colorless and glassy, reflecting every scrap of light with an unnatural brightness. People say when he finally notices you, the swaying stops. He snaps his head in your direction so fast it looks like something breaking. And then he waits. No one has ever seen him take a step. Not really. He doesn't walk the way we do. He closes distance in a way that makes no sense, like blinking and finding him closer than he should be, the gap between you shrinking without movement. Survivors, if that's what they are, claim that when he finally reaches you, the broken sign overhead lets out a metallic groan, the sound of rust grinding on rust, as if warning the whole street that another name is about to vanish. Because that's what he does, he doesn't take you, exactly. He takes your name. The stories are always the same. You wake up the next morning, if you're lucky enough to wake up at all, and nobody remembers who you are. Your ID is blank. Your family looks through you like a stranger. Your friends ask what your name was again, over and over, until you start doubting you ever had one. The people who survive these encounters always end up leaving town, drifting like ghosts. Some don't survive at all, they just disappear into the cracks of the city, and the street signs overhead rust a little faster, letters fading into nothing. The rules spread quietly, like folk superstition. Don't stop beneath a broken street sign. Don't look up after dark. And if you see the man waiting there, don't acknowledge him. Don't speak. Not even to yourself. Because names are fragile things, and he only needs to hear one once to make it his. I used to think it was just another piece of urban folklore, a way to scare newcomers into respecting the old city at night. I even laughed about it once, walking home after a bar shift, a little buzzed, when I passed one of those crooked signs near 9th and Holloway. The metal pole was bent at an angle, the words nearly rubbed away, and the light above it flickered like a dying firefly. I paused, tilted my head up just to prove the superstition wrong. And that's when I saw him. He was already there, directly beneath the sign, his body swaying the way people say it does, his pale face tilted toward the rusting metal. The street was empty, no footsteps, no traffic, only me and him, the silence pressing so hard against my ears it hurt. I froze, but I didn't run. I told myself it was just a homeless man, just some junkie hanging around, and I even muttered that under my breath, just some guy. The moment the words left my lips, he snapped his head toward me. The crack was sharp, audible, like bone breaking. And those eyes, flat, gray, glassy, reflecting the weak streetlight, fixed on mine. He didn't move closer, not at first, but something changed in the air, like the whole block had tilted toward him. My breath came shorter, my chest felt tighter. I looked down at my hands and realized I was clutching the strap of my bag so hard my fingers ached, but even then I couldn't turn away. When I blinked, he was closer. Not walking, not stepping. Just closer. The space between us was shrinking in impossible increments, like the world was deleting the ground he wasn't covering. My legs shook. My voice caught in my throat. And then the groan came, from above me, from the rusted sign itself. A horrible screeching grind, as though the metal letters were being scraped away. My heart pounded. I knew, without understanding how, that it was my name being erased, letter by letter. I ran. I don't remember choosing to, don't remember taking the first step. One moment I was standing there, the next I was sprinting down the street, shoes slapping against the pavement, every step echoing too loud in the empty air. I didn't dare look back. I didn't have to. With every corner I turned, every alley I cut through, the sound of grinding metal followed me. Not footsteps. Not breathing. Just that horrible, rust-eating groan, as if the whole city was leaning down to chew through my existence. By the time I got home, my throat was raw from gasping. I slammed the door, locked it twice, and stood there shaking until sunrise. I thought maybe I'd outrun him. Maybe it was all some sick hallucination. But the next morning, when I went to sign in to work, my ID badge didn't scan. The name had vanished from it. Just a blank strip of plastic under my picture. My supervisor frowned, asked if I was carrying the wrong badge, and when I said my name out loud, he blinked at me, confused, like he'd never heard it before. I don't know how long I can hold on. My friends don't answer my texts anymore, not because they're ignoring me, but because the messages arrive without a sender. My mailbox has gone empty. The landlord called me the new tenant, like I just moved in yesterday. The city itself feels like it's forgetting me piece by piece. And still, at night, when I close my eyes, I hear that groan of metal, the creak of rust grinding as another letter slips away. The worst part? I think he's patient. I think he waits beneath every broken street sign, in every city, for people too curious, too stubborn, too careless to look away. And sooner or later, no matter how much I try to stay inside, no matter how tight I close my eyes, I know I'll find myself standing under one of those crooked poles again. I know I'll hear the sound begin. And when the last letter of my name disappears, there'll be nothing left to run back to. Nothing left of me at all. I thought that would be the end, that when my name was gone, I'd simply dissolve, forgotten, swallowed by silence. But I was wrong. I learned that night names aren't erased, they're taken. And something that doesn't belong to you anymore has to go somewhere. The first sign was the mirror. I was brushing my teeth when I noticed it. The reflection wasn't quite right. My movements lagged by a fraction of a second, the toothbrush in the glass still scrubbing long after I lowered it. My reflection tilted its head at me like the man did, with that same unnatural, snapping jerk. The sound of metal groaning filled the tiny bathroom, even though there was no street sign overhead. I dropped the brush, stumbled back, and watched as the version of me in the mirror smiled while I only stood there shaking. The second sign was the phone call. A number I didn't recognize, late at night. When I answered, no one spoke at first, just the rasp of metal grinding and bending, a horrible shriek of rust tearing off steel. I almost hung up, but then I heard my voice. My voice, calm and steady, whispering my name. Only it wasn't mine anymore. It sounded heavier, weighted, like something wearing my skin from the inside out. And then the line went dead. After that, the city itself began to turn on me. Street signs bent lower as I walked past them, as if trying to point at me. The letters peeled off, raining flecks of rust into the gutter. I couldn't walk 3 blocks without feeling the swaying presence beneath them, waiting, patient, glassy eyes catching me from the corner of my vision. He was everywhere at once, but never closer than the edge of sight, like my stolen name was dragging me toward him, street by street. I started staying inside, curtains drawn, every reflective surface covered, but it didn't matter. The walls began to creak at night, stretching and groaning like rusted poles in the wind. The floorboards whispered with weight that wasn't mine. And sometimes, God help me, when I finally drift towards sleep, I hear someone pacing the hallway, pausing outside my door, the boards straining under their sway. When I gather the courage to look, the hallway is empty. But the sign over my street corner has leaned so far now it looks ready to snap. The worst moment came 2 nights ago. I woke to the sound of dripping water, only to find words smeared across the inside of my bedroom window. Not written in marker, but traced into condensation with a finger. My name. My full name, each letter perfect, gleaming in pale moonlight. I wiped it away with shaking hands, but when I stepped back, it appeared again, this time backwards, from the outside. Something standing in the yard, writing it over and over as though rehearsing, reminding me who I used to be. I don't think I'm being erased anymore. I think I'm being replaced. My shadow lags when I walk. My reflection smiles when I don't. And sometimes, when I pass by a pane of glass or a darkened screen, I see a figure standing beneath a broken street sign in the background, swaying in rhythm with me, like we're bound together now. Tonight, I can hear him closer. Not outside. Not in the streets. He's in the walls, in the pipes, in the strained groans of steel as my apartment breathes. Every time I whisper my name under my breath, it feels weaker, thinner, like the sound isn't mine anymore. The letters scrape across my tongue like rust. And I know when the last syllable finally breaks, he'll step out from under the sign and into me. He won't need to wait on the corner anymore. He'll have a body. He'll have a name. And I'll be left in the rust, Another forgotten letter peeling away into the dark. I'm writing this now because I can already feel him swaying inside my skin. If you ever see a man standing beneath a broken street sign, eyes like glass, head tilted up toward the rust, don't stop, don't look, don't speak. Because if he tilts his head towards you and waits, it means he's already listening. And maybe by then, he'll be listening with my voice.